When it comes to performance, especially performance signature lines, I believe consistency is key, so that way you know as the buyer exactly what you're getting every single time. And that's exactly what it's been like playing in the Nike Sabrina line. I absolutely love it, and this is the third iteration known as the Nike Sabrina 3s. So, hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we have the performance review on the Nike Sabrina 3s. Ooh. But before we get started, if you were looking to ways to help out this channel, we do have some brand new WearTesters merch available. This is a collaboration between us and Serious Player Only, where we've created 2 performance shirts in 2 different colors. We've also got a bunch of brand new socks available as well. If you go to SeriousPlayerOnly.com, that's where US customers can go. But for all of you guys that would like to support WearTesters and you are internationally, head over to Kickzone, where they've got both the shirts as well as some of the socks available currently right now. So again, if you're international, go to Kickzone.com, and if you're based in the US, go to SeriousPlayerOnly.com, and I thank you in advance. Now, with that being said, the Nike Sabrina 3, it's a beast on court. I'll just get that out of the way right now. Much like the 1 and 2, these guys offer very much of the same. There are some minor tweaks here and there, but again, I think that these are a super consistent line, much like the Curry line, as well as the Kobe line. So again, when you're looking at performance stuff, especially signature series or a signature line, and I don't necessarily mean signature athlete, I just mean like a repetitive line, like say the Hyperdunk, the Crazy Lights, whatever it is that you might be interested in, the GT cuts. When you have one going to the next, and they all feel different, like they're not part of the same series, and you get a different ride every single time, that makes the line confusing, that makes the customer not want to go and repeat grabbing the pairs from that line. Thus, you need some consistency. So there's a lot of options out there, especially right now. Right now, like we had already just released our best of 2025 so far performance list for basketball. I already want to change up the list because there's been some fucking heaters dropping. Like, it's been totally wicked. But if you were interested in the Sabrina 3s, this is the box. It's actually quite cool. It plays up a little bit on the initial colorway's blueprint theme, even though they do come with like this colorway, which I think is like the all-star color. I'm not really sure. I grabbed 2 different sizes. I'll talk about that later. But either way, just in case you were curious, this is the box. Nothing crazy, but it is different than the last one. Speaking of the last one, I'm going to use that one because it's just close by. So don't get confused. I don't think anybody cares. Now, the traction on these guys is awesome. Like, this might be one of those tweaks that is a definite upgrade, which I think is awesome, just because the Sabrina 1s were very solid. The traction was decent, especially depending on the court. The Sabrina 2s were amazing. I have 5 pairs of those right now. It's like my favorite shoe to play in at the moment. Wow. If you watched our sneaker shopping with me video, I actually grabbed these on discount, so yeah. But the Sabrina 2s were a definite upgrade over the 1 in terms of traction, and the Sabrina 3s are much of the same, as long as we're considering indoor only. So indoors, these things were outstanding. Essentially, it's just an S, and it's just repetitive in a radial fashion. It essentially works like radial and herringbone together. So it's got linear, lateral, any type of move that you could be thinking of, it's got it covered. I will say that on certain movements, this traction right here was just ultra grippy. This happens every once in a while with certain shoes, usually when it's with translucent rubber, but sometimes the grip will be just so substantial on a lateral move that it'll feel like it's sucking the outrigger underneath your foot. Ooh. And that did happen with me a few different times with these guys. So traction is fantastic. Did I have to wipe here and there when there was dust present? Yeah, sure, but that's with every shoe. I have to do that with these, and these are just straight up herringbone. So it is what it is. Are these gonna be viable for outdoors? I would say as an automatic no, although I would say also that no Sabrina has been. I played in the Sabrina 1s outdoors and I burned through them pretty quickly. This is my Sabrina 2s that I play in outdoors, and you can see that there's quite a bit of rubber missing in my high wear areas, but in my opinion, there's still plenty of life left, and this is with months of use. This has been my outdoor version of this shoe since they released, so I only hoop in these outside, and I only hoop in them when I play outside. So this is my only shoe that I use outdoors. And I would say outside of that, they're doing okay. This one though, the rubber is just ultra gummy. Like you can move it in ways that you can't with the Sabrina 2s. So while they'll be great in terms of performance outdoors, they just will not be durable. So keep that in mind. In terms of cushion, the shoe gets a slight upgrade, at least in my opinion. Not only do they feel a little bit thicker than the previous two models, I emphasized a little bit, by the way, it's just a very, very little bit. It's just enough to where if you have one on each foot, you're gonna notice it. But basically we've got a Phylon carrier, and then inside of that is a Cushlon 3.0 kind of like injection inside the core of the midsole. And in the forefoot, there's a Zoom Air unit. Again, this is very similar to the previous two models, and it feels just as good as the previous two models. And in fact, that little bit that I wanted to emphasize earlier is what makes them feel just a little bit better than the previous. The Sabrina 2s, sometimes you can feel like you're like riding it directly on the floor, even though you are getting some cushion. This one, you feel like you get a little bit more cushion while still getting tons of court feel, stability, everything that you would want as a guard or a shifty big man, you never know. Now the materials are one of the things where they get the job done, but I do feel that this is a slight step down from the Sabrina 2s. It's got a bunch of just different textiles and what feels like nylon and some sort of ripstop material, just really lightweight, almost TPU yarn type of threading. It's not my favorite thing. Like I said, it gets the job done. It is similar to what's used on the Sabrina 2s, but I feel like the versions that they use on the Sabrina 2s are just a little bit more substantial feeling. So if we're gonna touch things and like have things feel like, whether it's factual or not, but just have how they feel, the Sabrina 3s feel cheaper than the Sabrina 2s. I don't know if that's true or not. It's just how I feel when I touch each material and how they wear and things like that. But again, in terms of overall performance, I don't really have any complaints. It does what it's supposed to do. It keeps your foot contained and all of that. So, you know, it is what it is. Now, in terms of fit, with the Sabrina 1s, I went true to size and they were really snug. Like sometimes I still feel like I can't wear those comfortably. The Sabrina 2s, I have multiple pairs of those. Some are true to size, some are half a size down, both of which work perfectly fine. I can't decide which one I like better. They almost feel identical. And that's exactly how these guys feel. This is my half a size down. I bought the blue pair that is my true to size and they both feel great. I will say that this one, being the half a size down, does feel a slight bit more snug, which would be obvious being a half a size smaller. So what I would recommend is for most people to go true to size, but if you have a super narrow foot, going down half a size might be a best bet. And they do feel like that they're on a different last than the previous two. So you guys already know that I don't love these straight up and down lasts that they've used. And these guys right here, they have a slight curve. So these are more in line with like what I get with Kobe's, like Kobe 4s, Kobe 5s, Kobe 6s in terms of the overall shape of the foot. And I just prefer that over the two, but I still love the two so much. I don't know how I'm gonna replace these. Like these are fantastic. And the lower in price that they get, the more of them I'm gonna buy. Now the support features on the Sabrina 3 are pretty much the same as the past two models. Again, this is very consistent in terms of an overall line, which I pretty much love. Like when I'm buying a Sabrina shoe, I know exactly what I'm getting. Unlike when you're buying, say, an Air Jordan, especially nowadays, where there have been times when, you know, the 34s, the 35s, the 36s, you know exactly what you're getting. They're very similar shoes. And then you jump into shoes like the 37, the 38, 39, and now 40, and they're all a little bit different. Everyone is a different experience. You're not getting anything consistent outside of the Jordan brand name. That's not the case here. So we've got a nice wide stable forefoot. You got a super big outrigger out here. Like this one might be bigger than the last. Oh, for sure. Like it's huge. It's crazy. I love it. There's a small torsion shank inside the midfoot of the shoe, much like the previous two models. The heel counter is adequate, it gets the job done. Overall lockdown is great, I have no complaints. That's both with true to size and half a size down. The shoe's just fantastic. It's very much in line with the previous ones. You're gonna love it, as long as you love the other ones. If you didn't, then maybe don't go with these, obviously. So overall, is the Sabrina 3 a worthy purchase? I would say yes, especially if you enjoyed the Sabrina 1s and the Sabrina 2s. You're getting much of the same, slight tweaks here and there, most of which do feel like upgrades, the traction and the cushion being two items. Materials, possibly not. I think that, while not factually true, it just, you know, a subjective opinion, I just feel like the Sabrina 2s are just a little bit nicer material wise. However, are these worth buying over these as far as like full retail price? That's where I'm gonna say no, because they are so similar. If you can find the Sabrina 2s, I've been seeing them at Ross, at Burlington's. I got my pair, like I said, online over at Dick's for a stupid cheap price. You could just Google the shoe and you'll see that discounted everywhere. So I would go and grab the Sabrina 2s for sure on discount. And then once those, you know, sell out and go away, then start buying the Sabrina 3s and things like that. Or you can go and grab the Nike ID route or the Nike by You, customize a colorway that you're absolutely 100% happy with, and then go with that. Which is probably what I'm gonna do for my next colorway of these if I decide to get another one. I'm still not decided whether or not I wanna really rock with the Sabrina 3s or just keep messing with the 2s. Either way, it's a great shoe. So if you do end up with them, I do think that you will like them. And with all of that being said, do we happen to have time for a user submitted question of the day?
I'm bumping today's question because I have a good one. I think you're gonna like it.
You better be right.
I noticed that between the Sabrina 2 and the Sabrina 3, something is missing.
What?
On the Sabrina 2, they have these weird heel Achilles notches on the outside that we have seen, like when they modify the Jordan 5s. It's like an orange pair that we did that had like a kind of band-aidy feeling.
Oh yeah.
They like modified the notches and made them there but smaller, very similar to that. It's just a design feature, right? Like those aren't doing anything back there.
Anything on the exterior primarily is aesthetic, typically. Sometimes there are definite, like if you're gonna look at the lacing, these ones are fly wire cables and then they're seated through these like kind of like satiny looking pleats. And then those go and are directly attached to the footbed. You have similar stuff here with the flaps that you can see under, you know what I mean? So those are functional and visible. Something like a notch is typically visible but not functional unless they're inside the shoe.
Exactly.
Yeah, interior sculpting, which these don't have, like none of them have notches inside, but they are decently sculpted, so I don't have, you know, issues with them or anything like that. Heel counters are much of the same. So like every shoe has an internal heel counter like these, but some shoes have a double one like a Kobe. So like a Kobe 4, 5, 6, etc. Like they have like really cool exterior heel counters. That's not to say that they don't have interior ones, because they all do. It's just that they have like a beefed up heel because of the extra one. But yeah, most things, especially like these, strictly visible. I think they look fine. I don't really care whether they're here or not. They didn't do anything, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But as far as design language, like I think that that's pretty obvious, like where they're carrying things over from one model to the next and stuff like that, but shifting a little bit. It reminds me of the early kind of like Jordan line from like the 3 through 5, 6, something like that, where like they all kind of like, you can see some of the previous in the next one. But yeah, this purely aesthetic, not functional, but that's not to say that everything that's visible is not functional. Like an outrigger, it's visible and functional. The fly wire, it's visible and functional, you know what I mean? So it just kind of depends.
I didn't think anything of them on the 2. It was just the fact that all of a sudden I was like, they're not there. And then I was just like, what are they even for? Like they're not
a damn thing. Yeah, not a damn thing. But that's what I mean by like the design cues. Like you can see like stuff like the swoosh, at least the medial one. There's definite like carryovers, and I think that's really cool. Just because as a fan of the line, this is what I love doing as a kid with any line, whether it's like the Penny line, the Jordan line, etc., the Iverson line. You could see what they took as inspiration to carry over from the previous model. It made it feel so fluid. Again, when you're talking about like repetitiveness in a line, I understand where like, oh, I'm getting the same shoe every time, and it's like, yeah, that's a point. Consistency is key with a line. When you buy Currys, you know exactly what you're getting. When you're buying Kobe's, you know exactly what you're getting. When you're buying the Sabrina, you know exactly what you're getting. You don't want a Giannis situation. They start off one way and now it's a budget shoe. It's like, what the f happened? How are you supposed to stay rocking with something if it shifts on you like that? You won't. That's why it's a budget shoe now. That's my thoughts. Sound off below and let me know if you have other thoughts. And with that being said, if you have actually played in the Sabrina 3s, let me know what you think about them in the comment section. Do you agree that it's a slight upgrade in certain areas from the 2? I still think the 2 is a great shoe, so that's what I'm doing. I'm just gonna buy these until they don't sell them anymore for very cheap. But for those of you guys that like to play in the newest of the new, this is gonna be a solid option for you, and I don't think that you'll have many complaints. But that pretty much takes care of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. We'll catch you guys in the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one.